Ever dreamt of owning the iconic Mustang or Camaro again? Well, that dream's gotten a lot more expensive, and we're about to show you why it might be slipping out of reach. A new Mustang GT today costs 50% more than it did in the 60s, even after adjusting for inflation. And if you're dreaming of a Corvette, you'll need double the money just to get one. Don't even get us started on the maintenance. What's going on with these insane price jumps? Want to know why you can't afford a new muscle car anymore? Let's break it down. Alright, let's start things off with the Ford Mustang. Probably the most legendary muscle car of all time, right? Back in 1965, you could roll off the lot with a brand new base model Mustang, complete with a 6-cylinder engine and a manual transmission for just $2,320. Adjust that for inflation, and that's about $23,300 in today's money. But here's where things get a little crazy. The cheapest Mustang you can get today, the EcoBoost model, costs $31,995. Wait, what? That's almost $9,000 more than its 1965 equivalent. So in 2024, you're going to need to fork over an extra $8,695 just to get the base model. That's a 30% jump in price, and most of it is due to the extra tech, safety features, and emissions regulations. But think about it, are all those modern features really worth the massive price hike? Now, let's take a look at the V8 models, because, let's be real, that's what everyone wants when they think about a Mustang. If you're like me, you remember when the roar of a V8 could be heard on every block. But now, getting your hands on that power? Well, it's a whole different story. In 1965, a base model V8 Mustang Fastback with 225 horsepower would have set you back $3,000. Adjust that for inflation, and that's about $30,000 today. But a brand new 2025 Mustang GT with its 5.0-liter V8 will cost you $45,460. That's a massive 50% increase in the amount of money you need to buy a V8 Mustang compared to the 60s. It gets even worse if you want a fully loaded Mustang GT Premium. In 1965, a decked-out Mustang with air conditioning and automatic transmission was priced at around $3,600, which translates to about $36,000 today. The modern equivalent in 2025? Well, it's almost $60,000. So not only do you need significantly more buying power, but the price difference gets bigger the higher you go in performance and features. It's pretty unbelievable. But it's not just Ford that's jacking up prices. Chevy is doing the same thing with the Camaro. Now, let's talk about the Chevrolet Camaro, another muscle car legend. Back in 1967, when the Camaro first hit the market, you could get a base model for just $2,572. In today's money, that's about $24,000. Sounds pretty affordable, right? But here's where it gets tricky. If you want a base Camaro today, in 2024, it'll cost you just under $31,000. That's nearly $7,000 more. Why the big jump? What's driving these prices up so much? That's a 27% increase in buying power needed just to get the entry-level model. Does it really offer that much more for the extra cost? But the real shock comes with the performance models. Back in '67, you could grab a Camaro SS with a 350 engine for $3,000, which would be around $30,000 today. Sounds fair, right? Well, come on back to 2024, and the modern Camaro SS with the 1SS package will set you back $44,000. That's a huge 50% jump in price. Can you imagine needing that much more cash for the same level of performance? And if you're after the fully loaded Camaro 2SS, be ready to pay in the high $50,000s or even $60,000 range. Just like the Mustang, the price has skyrocketed. Why are these cars so much more expensive now? Is all the new tech really worth this kind of money? Now, let's take a look at the Corvette, Chevy's top performance car. Over the years, the Corvette has turned into something closer to a supercar, especially with the new mid-engine C8 model. But here's the thing. All that speed and performance come with a hefty price. Back in 1967, you could get a base-level Corvette with a 327 engine and a 4-speed manual transmission for just $4,388. Adjusting for inflation, that's about $41,000 today. Not too bad, right? But here's the thing. The base 2025 C8 Corvette costs $68,000. That's a 65% increase in what you'd need to buy one now. Is all that extra performance really worth the steep price hike? And if you were going all out in 1967 and bought the 427 Corvette, you'd be looking at $6,000 back then, which would equate to about $57,000 today. Now, the new Z06 Corvette starts at an unbelievable $110,000. That's nearly double the cost. Let's be real, did anyone expect the cost of a Corvette to skyrocket to $110K? But hold on, the Z06 isn't even the most expensive model anymore. The Corvette ZR1. It's way more costly, putting it even further out of reach for most people. So while the Corvette has definitely become faster and flashier, the real question is, does all that extra performance justify these sky-high prices? Would you still go for it at such a massive cost? Alright, let's now talk about Dodge, the brand behind the iconic Charger and Challenger. These Mopar legends are still fan favorites, but they've definitely followed the trend of getting way more expensive. Take the Charger for example. Back in 1968, you could get a base model for $3,140, about $27,000 adjusted for inflation today. But in 2023, a base Dodge Charger starts at $35,320. In other words, a 26% increase. What happened to the idea of an affordable muscle car? The real shocker, though, comes with the performance versions. In 1968, a Charger RT with a 440 engine was around $4,000, or about $36,000 today. But in 2023, if you want the modern equivalent, a Charger Scat Pack, you're looking at $52,000. That's a 42% jump. And the Hellcat? In 1968, the legendary 426 Hemi Charger cost $5,300. Today, the Hellcat starts at $72,000. Can you believe how much more you need to spend to get the same power today? Now, let's check out the Challenger. In 1970, a base Challenger was only $2,851, or about $23,000 today. But in 2023, you're going to pay $33,000 for the base model, a 40% increase. And if you're looking at the Scat Pack or the Hellcat versions, be prepared to spend 40 to 50% more than you would have back in the day. So while Dodge has kept the muscle alive, do these price jumps make you wonder if muscle cars are still worth it? Are these classics turning into something most of us can't afford anymore? What do you think? Are these price hikes justified, or are we paying too much for that Mopar power? So what's the deal? Why are new muscle cars so out of reach now? Well, a big part of it comes down to the modern technology packed into these cars. Things like advanced safety features, improved handling, powerful engines, and luxurious interiors all add to the cost. And let's not forget the stricter emissions regulations, which means that car companies have to use pricier tech to meet today's standards. But here's the thing, people are willing to pay more for high-performance cars, and manufacturers know it. These cars are faster, more powerful, and loaded with features. But is that enough to explain why prices have jumped so much? Think about it. You're now paying 30, 50, or even 65% more for the same muscle cars compared to their classic versions. Does all that extra tech and speed really justify the massive price tag? Well, for most of us, owning a new muscle car feels like a dream that's slipping further and further away. Are these price hikes really worth it? Or are these cars becoming too expensive for the average driver? Would you still pay the price? And there you have it, folks. That's why new muscle cars are so out of reach now. Yeah, they're faster and packed with the latest tech, but the price? It's way beyond any of our abilities now. Whether you're a Mustang fan, a Camaro enthusiast, or a Mopar lover, getting your dream car today is way harder than it was in the 60s or 70s. But what do you think? Are these price jumps as shocking to you as they are to me? Did you expect muscle cars to become this expensive? Let us know in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Make sure to click on the next one to learn more about rare cars.